G'day everyone and welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. It's dark o'clock, it's midweek, it's what, 8:15, 20 past 8. Kermit's got a big hole in him where his tank used to be. Now that must mean he's somewhere else. It's in the kitchen and I'm very excited to have a look at how it's all cured off and then see if we can get it nice and shiny. So, come and join me in the kitchen and let's carry on. And in the nice and warm of my kitchen and slightly echoey of my kitchen, for those that haven't been here before, welcome. For those that have, it's as noisy as it always is. Household of 5, there's always a dishwasher or a washing machine going. So, cured paint. How cured is it, Matt? It's perfectly cured. 48 hours worth of curing, and it is looking, I have to say, pretty spotty dog. You can see the orange peeling. That's what we're trying to get rid of today. Slightly depressingly, having sung the praises of the decals, there is a tiny bit of lifting and a little bit of bobbling, so I'm going to have to be careful on those, but nothing that you can't work with / around. It's looking good. I'm pretty much set up, got my tunes already. By my tunes, my Audible, because I'm old and I listen to audiobooks when I'm doing stuff like this. Got my paper set up. I'll go through those in a second. I'm just waiting for Harry Potter to finish reading for my little one. I'll get to bed and then get on with this. Right, so let's get on with this, shall we? I'll put my book on in a minute. Right, so what do you need? You need what you've got, as ever, but I have got 1200 to start with, 1200, 2000, 25, and then I'll go on to some compound. So, I need a bowl of water, because this needs to be kept wet. I might see if I can find my water sprayer somewhere, because that helps, and a sponge of some variety. Now, where's the other one? Something like that. Probably too firm, particularly on a tank like this that has edges, so it has form to it. It's not just a peanut. So that something like that would be okay. Not bare because it's a bit rough, but you know, on the back of there for the flat surfaces. But actually, you want something softer. Now I do have a really soft, malleable one, but I don't know where it's gone. What I do have is these finishing pads, so I'm just going to use those. They're also quite useful because they keep your paper all nice and wet, and you do not want to be dragging dry paper across this, because it'll just cock it. So what am I doing then? Putting it on, and it's really weight of the hand stuff, i.e. you're not digging in on it, you're not pushing, you're just doing it nice and gently. It is weight of your hand, weight of the paper, and you're just knocking down those ridges, and it is as much by sensation as it is by view as to whether or not you've done enough. Now you can hear probably a scratch, yeah, so you can hear when it's picking stuff up. Now I'm being really careful around the ridges and around the edges and around the decal, so what I'm going to do with those is just go a little bit more to town with the compound, with the rubbing compound, than I am with the paper. Now you can hear it getting quieter, so it's actually hitting less and taking off less. Hear that? So that's a gentle rub. I'm not sure if you can hear the difference, but we shall see. Somewhere fresh that I've barely touched. It's really making some noise, see? Nice and gentle. You really want to be following the lines of the tank rather than sort of big stupid circles that I'm making. It's okay to start with, but when you get it going nice and quiet like this, try and follow the lines of the tank a bit. You can just hear it get quieter. That's exactly what you're after. You're after more of a, best way to describe it, more of a zip zip than a scrunch scrunch. Now, there's some places that you're just not going to get to with paper, and certainly not in the right direction, but just do what you can and it will pay you dividends. So I'm just concentrating at the moment on the flat surface on the top, just to get that as good as I can. And again, I'm not after perfection. If I wanted perfection, I'd pay a paint shop. A lot of the reason why I'm not renovating bikes, I'm trying to rejuvenate bikes. So you can hear it quieten off as it goes. Keep it nice and wet, you don't want to be dragging dry paper across it. And you can just feel the lack of friction and hear it take less effort to slide across. That's probably not that far off. So I'll drag you over. Excuse me, I need to unplug you as well. It's bad admin, I forgot to charge. So you're starting to see a shine come through. The camera's going to struggle because it's a big mass of colour. There we go. Yeah, and you can feel it. It is getting better already. So let's probably wang you on fast forward and we'll get the rest of this big tank done. Right, so there we go, that's a good few minutes. Not too long. You don't want to be beating the arse off it with your highest grip quite so early. I think we're getting there. It's difficult to tell because it's more of a tactile thing than a visual thing, but we're getting there. And the point is you don't really know until you've done it. So go for a bit of 2000 grit. Yeah, so a bit of 2000 grit. Get it nice and wet. Ideally I would have soaked it for longer. I didn't think about it. And keep my 12 over there because I might need it again. I may have to re-attack, don't know. So again, listening out, sounds smoother, it feels smoother. Keeping it nice and wet, the water's just helping it slide. Occasionally you'll catch because of the water, but it helps it slide. It's nice and quiet and it feels, I don't feel like I'm having to scrub like I was initially. I'm just now rubbing it across the surface. So you can hear it every so often. It gets a bit louder as you find bits that you may have missed with the 1200, particularly on the edges, because I'm being very light on the edges. It's really very easy indeed to burn through your lacquer and your paint if you're going hell for leather, particularly on edges like around the fuel cap. And given those a bit of a wide berth, I just have to compound them with a bit more venom later. Make sure it's nice and even. There we go. I'll fast forward you and drop you back in once I'm done on the 2000 grit. Right, so that's the 2000 done. Let's give you a quick look in at how we're getting on. So, it's looking better. There's still some. I'll get to that. I'm being really careful about this lettering, particularly since that's raising. I am going over it a little bit just to get rid of the orange peel a bit on it. But yeah, it's getting there. It's nice and smooth. It's feeling smooth. It's not making a noise. Now, so let's have a quick intro on the 2.5. So soaking wet, not wet sanding, soaking wet sanding. I like soap in there as well. I think it's supposed to do something with the surface tension, but the bubbles help me see where I've been, frankly. I wish it was more technical than that. See a bit, I don't know if you can see, a little bit of scar in there. Where I left the bag on, it's bagged up onto the paint, which is a pain in the arse. I mean, it's not seen, it's behind the frame, and certainly below the seat, but doesn't appeal to my anality sense. I'm being really careful on the edges because it's so easy just to burn through the paint to the point where I'm actually kind of avoiding it with the sandpaper or with the wet and dry, and I'll just do that with compound. It's just a little bit easier to control. Right, so post sand down, that's kind of where we are, and it's what I refer to as the bowling ball shine. It just looks nice and flat. Now I do have some, you can just catch the odd speckles there where it's not entirely flat, but I could keep going with the sandpaper, but there gets a point where you just start risking taking the edge off a bit. So what I'm going to do is give it a go with the compound and see how we get on. And by giving it a go, I've previously been a big fan of compounding by hand, and I'm kind of 6 and 2/3 as to which way is best. I am going to try it, big pad on the drill, and do it that way, just because the surface area is huge. It's going to take me forever to do it by hand. So just get you roughly set up so you can kind of see. A couple of decent splodges now. I'm not sure if you can even see, I have got changed in some really crappy old joggers here because this is messy. It does go everywhere and it will make a mess. So, dabbing on, I'm not entirely sure what you can see. You don't need to be at, Mach 3 full strength to start with. You're just trying to spread it in to start with. If you go full speed straight away, you're just going to whip it all up against the walls. So as I said, I'm kind of concentrating around the lips here because I've purposely avoided it with sandpaper. Let me just move you in a little bit closer. You picked up on a chair there, but go for that. Right, so that's post compound, and you can see it's really starting to come together already. I've got no major problems anywhere. Now fortunately I had no runs from my paint, which is a good thing. So I haven't had anything specific to deal with. There is a little bit of sparkle. Come on. Trying to get a camera to focus when it's just solid colour is very difficult. There's a little bit of flecking where it's not entirely flat, but I'm entirely happy with that. It's either that or go back to probably the 2500 and keep going, but I'm just concerned about burning through the lot. So it's a rattle can job. No matter how good it looks, it's still a rattle can job. You just got to get used to that idea. Right, so now I'm going to move on to polish. Let me get my kit out. Right, so what do I use? Meguiar's, I still think the best stuff. So that first, a couple of coats of that, so a coat on polish, coat on polish. I still don't think you can get better than that. Please, if you know better products, please let me know. But just straight polish is just brilliant. And then I'll try and finish it off with a bit of Carnauba. Now I know this is better on non-flat colours, it's better on metallics, etc. But it gives it a nice waxiness. I still maintain that fresh paint is thirsty. It soaks up what you put on it. So if you're get as much product on it as you can first time round, and then you're going to have to repolish it again pretty rapidly afterwards as well, because it will just lose the shine. But it's about building up. You think of an established paint job on a bike, on a car, on anything. How many times has that been polished? Even before you buy it, but just think, you know, the first owner is going to polish it, you know, once a week, probably, maybe even more than that. So, you know, even in its first 2 or 3 years, you're talking, you know, hundreds of layers of polish on there. So you're not going to get that straight away, but you just need to give it a good start. Right, so speaking of good starts, get my polishing pad on my drill. A bit of Maguire. I go through this stuff like bloody water. I need to get some more again. Chuck that up there. Right, slow speed to start with. Get it blended in. Just move my refreshments for the evening. Just get it rubbing in. You're not going full speed, because again it will just fly up the walls. Not so bad this stuff, because it's quite thick, it's quite viscous, but certainly that stuff is really quite liquid and will just fly everywhere. And you're trying to feed the paint. You're not necessarily trying to polish, you're trying to feed the paint. And you will notice that it soaks it up really quickly. So that was a fairly healthy dose. And it's not leaving any trails on the paint, it's just sucking it up. So it's just soaking in. You can see it happening. You get, you know, there's a waxy deposit on the top, but it's not white anymore. It's just what's there. So you're just going for, frankly, for coverage, and you will see that drip has held. After the second coat, that drip will slide off because the surface tension just isn't there. Right, so that is the Maguire's done. So that was 2 coats of that. First one, it just really soaks it up. Second one, you know, was a lot more surface. It didn't just disappear straight away, but it's looking pretty good, I think. Yeah, it's really getting there. You get a good reflection of the table surface on there, and you can even see my head waving around at the top. I'm going to get on and do the turtle wax, and I think I'll probably chuck the carnauba on as well before I start filming again. One top tip though, if you're making noise and you still want to listen to stuff and you go for headphones, that long cable and that don't mix very well. Damn near woke me up when it ripped my headphones out of my ears. Right, let's get on with it. Right, and there we go. That is the end result of, what time did I start? Put the little to bed 8 o'clock-ish. Now nearly 11, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 hours. Not too bad at all. And look at that. Yellow. That is a job well jobbed. Don't get me wrong, before anyone points it out, it ain't perfect. There's still the odd little bit, but I'm happy with that. When you consider what that looked like to start with, happy with that. Right, I'm going to use every bit of willpower that I've got now, not to just upload this as is, because it's an incomplete view. What I'm going to do is knock it on the head, tidy up the mess, and by the mess, it's not a clean job this. Tidy up the mess, get the kitchen table ready for the kids' breakfast in the morning, put the tank away, and then with a bit of daylight drag the bike out and we'll have a look at how it looks. Right, so for you it will be a click for a couple of seconds, for me it'll be a night. Catch you in a bit. And there we go, it's the morning, I'm about to go into work, but I wanted to see what it looks like. Now that is pretty. Regrettably I don't really have the light to have a look at it properly, but what you get is winter in the UK. Wow. And the clocks change very shortly as well. So a bit more daylight in the morning, less in the evening. So look at that, I'm happy with that. Now like I said earlier, I think fresh paint is thirsty. So that's going to take a few more waxes. So what I'll probably do is just nip out and give it, a dose of wax in the evenings before I go to fix it on probably Friday, frankly. I've also got a tank protector. I've got a couple actually, a couple of options to go on a tank protector, both of which, you can just see the little dent there, both of which go up and cover that little ditch. So that is cool. But yeah, it needs a bit more polish because fresh paint, thirsty, it'll dull down very, very quickly indeed. It just needs some topping up. Right, cool. That'll do me for a midweek instalment. Thanks very much for watching all. Thanks for subscribing. Numbers are climbing, actually. I got to number of the beast this week, 666 subscribers, and then it's clicked on since then. But cool. I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks very much all. I'll catch you later on. Cheers.